your motorsports program get turned upside down by an accident? AP1 Insurance can get you back on track. We cover every type of motorsports vehicle, from circle track racing, tractor pulling, drag racing, to the toters and trailers that get you there.
I'm almost ready to zip up on the jacket.
We also offer rain event coverage and price packages.
Fire it up.
AP1 Insurance is your one-stop shop for all your specialty insurance needs. Contact us today.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Greg Randall, Executive Director of NTPA, and I'm with Cindy DeKuyper. She's with Timper Axle, Dr. Preload. They're the sponsor of our Super Semi division at the Grand National Point level. Tell us a little bit about what you do there at Timper Axle.
At Timper Axle, we make the Dr. Preload bearing adjustment tool. And we also make the Temper Lock spindle nut. So you can use our nut to adjust your wheel ends to get it to perfect preload and end-to-end play. And by doing that, you can increase your seal life, your bearing life, your tire wear gets better, and your fuel mileage gets better as well.
Go to their website, find out about these fine folks, and buy some products.
Welcome to the future of agriculture, Newfields Ag. Newfields Ag is focused on sourcing, testing, and marketing the newest biological and biotech products for you to use in your operation. With nutrient management and use efficiency, manure management, and yield enhancement products, we offer crop performance products that are safer and that make yield. NewfieldsAg.com. Farm the future. Farm with Newfields Ag.
When the power hits the track, GMS is behind it. Family owned, built Butler County, Ohio, trusted worldwide. GMS delivers the good stuff. Oil primer pumps, diamond forgings, darkened sleeves, precision bearings, and piston rings. From rods to complete front drive assemblies, we've got it covered. Led by Brett Payne and backed by a skilled crew, GMS is more than a machine shop. We're your pulling partner. GMS, solid parts, reliable service, built for the long haul.
The NTPA and Steiner Tractor Parts, the new partnership where passion meets power. Steiner Tractor Parts is proud to be part of this year's NTPA. From our family-owned location in Linden, Michigan, we have over 85,000 square feet of vintage and classic tractor parts, all featured in our world-famous parts catalog. And our president, Dan Steiner, adds, "Old iron is our passion. We're proud to support those who share our love for horsepower and heritage by partnering with the NTPA. So here's to the best season ever for the NTPA from all of us here at Steiner Tractor Parts. New parts for old tractors. And the proud sponsor of the NTPA.
Hey, NTPA pulling fans, Greg Randall, Executive Director. I'm here with a special guest, Jeff Miller, Mitas Tires.
Besides the pulling tires, we make a full line of ag tires, and our sole purpose is really to take everything we learn off the track and really apply it to your farming operation. You want to build some tires that are dependable, quality product, and have the performance levels where you don't have to worry about it.
And where can they find out more about Mitas?
Well, you can, of course, Google us on the web. Probably one of your best sources is to reach out to your local tire dealer.
Mitas getting traction with the NTPA in 2024. Jeff, we appreciate it. Looking forward to a lot of great things.
Thank you very much.
I see the umbrellas coming up, meaning that maybe you need to pause just a little bit in your activities ready to go. We are getting very, very close on the track. You can see that this may give us a little bit of a pause. We will keep you updated as much as we possibly can. Time for you to make sure that you have everything that you need prior to our session getting underway here in just a few minutes. We're still on time. Nobody has given us a definite pause.
Continues to produce
we can kind of
champions
guess as we look to the skies, but we'll keep you informed as best we can.
Of Mayhill Tires, we provide Mitos, Pro Puller, Parks Puller, Kaiser, Real Wheels, and Midwest Wheels. Located in Reynolds, Indiana, Chad Mayhill and his crew work all year round to prove that they truly are a cut above the competition.
Just when you think you've seen it all, surprise! AP Productions has done it again with yet another mind-blowing DVD compilation of truck and tractor pulling gone bad. Wild Rides, Wrecks, and Fire Volume 9 is still every puller's worst nightmare. This DVD is non-stop explosive pulling action that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Get your copy today of Wild Rides, Wrecks, and Fire Volume 9 at ntpapull.com or by calling 614-436-1761. Wild Rides, Wrecks, and Fire Volume 9 is so explosive it will melt your TV.
Stand up!
Your tractor, Kate?
Yep.
What's it do?
Everything.
Bale?
Can do.
Mow?
Can do.
Pull?
Can do.
Plow, harrow, dig, haul, and scoop?
Can do.
How about...
Can do.
What about...
Can do.
At Beck's, we stand up for things that matter most. Our faith, our independence, and helping farmers succeed. As the largest family-owned seed company in the U.S., we believe in the integrity of remaining an independent family-owned seed company. Since our founding in 1937, we have continued to produce quality products backed by a family of employees and dealers dedicated to serving American farmers. And that's something to be proud of. Beck's, founded in faith, forged in America. For more information, visit BecksHybrids.com.
Wherever the road leads, Mac Trailer has what it takes to get you going. We bring you closer to your trailer and the support you need with more than 1.8 million square feet of manufacturing space across the nation. No matter where you go, you can easily connect with our trusted dealer network of more than 135 authorized dealers in the U.S. and Canada. Simply put, Mac Trailer is here for you. We've built our legacy.
Well, as Doc and Alan have both kind of portrayed to you, we are in a little bit of a position where we're going to have to work the track just a little bit. We're scuffing right now with that sled. We're going to do the same thing on the grandstand side here very, very shortly. And, folks, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of planning and preparation to be able to bring an event of this magnitude to this town of Tomah. And support and sponsorship is one of the big key ingredients of that. We have our friends from Rink Seeds here. We have Shane and Becky, both who are representing Rink Seeds today. We also just had our amazing kids club just concluded just a little while ago here near the starting line side in the pit area. So first and foremost, from all of us here, thank you so very much for the kids club and your continued support, sponsorship of this weekend.
Yes, thank you. Rink is very proud to sponsor this afternoon's poll. And at Rink, we've been in business for 7 generations, offering corn, soybean, and alfalfa seed growers all across the Midwest. We pride ourselves on our relationships and our connection with the growers across Wisconsin and all over the Midwest here. And we hope we have a good poll here this afternoon.
Absolutely. Well, we get to witness a couple of awesome vehicles that also carry your name with them. Oftentimes with Mr. Brett Berg wearing the Moneymaker. Of course, Rink sees Moneymaker, and he's got the Mini now that he's carrying as well. Thanks for supporting our sport. It's a sport that so many people are very passionate about, and obviously you guys know that farmers are sitting in this group of fans right here, but they're also helping to support us and pull in as well.
Yep, thank you very much. Thank you for having us up here.
Folks, please give them a nice round of applause. It takes great sponsors to do this. If you enjoyed the Kids Club, you got one of those awesome T-shirts, autographs from the pullers today. It's all because of the folks right here that sponsor it and support it to bring it right here to Tomah. Again, thank you so much.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 50th edition of this, the Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals, brought to you in part by the good folks at AP1 Insurance and Premium Crop Insurance. They offer specialty insurance products from motorsports to crop insurance. You know, you always got to keep an eye on those crops, and they can do a great job for you. And they're pullers as well. PremiumCropINS.com is how you can find out more information. If you're needing insurance for your motorsport operation, AP1 Insurance can cover your pulling vehicle, your spare items, your motorhome, your trailer, along with rain insurance and so much more. AgProtect1.com is where you can find them. This kicks off, ladies and gentlemen, for many of our competitors, the first time they're able to grab points here. We'll keep you up to date on that. So we do have some people that have been already out on the trail. Hutchinson, Minnesota was the first Grand National. Of course, there was the Invitational in Farley, which will highlight some of those $50,000 winners that had a pretty good payday there in Farley. But this kicks things off, and new this year, ladies and gentlemen, all Grand National classes will be decided at the very final event of the Grand National Tour, which this year will be the All-Star event, the Enderley Pull-Off. That's coming up September 13th in Urbana, Ohio. That's the All-Star Pull, but the top 5 in the points, that's who qualifies for the Enderley. So we will have champions crowned at the Enderley in addition to Enderley champions as well. So we kick things off here in Tomah for many classes, and then, of course, they will scatter throughout the entire United States with great trips to Brandenburg, Kentucky, and Chapel Hill, Tennessee, and Bowling Green for the National Tractor Pulling Championships, and many other spots in between. But this weekend, the focus is right here on 50 years of this 1976, the bicentennial year of the United States. That's when we kick things off right here. 15,000 fans were here to see 3 classes. And, of course, it's grown every single year. Continue to get more people out here. The prestige continues to grow. But for 50 years, this has been the site. Of course, this was the Tomah High School football field here for a while. And the city and the Board of Education got together and worked out a plan where the tractor pull would pay for that brand new facility. I guess it's not brand new anymore, but it's been there for a while. A brand new football field and the indoor track. So it's really gone an awful lot. This has done so much for the community here. And the reason, you fans that are here. For those of you that were here last night, that was Quick Trip Appreciation Night. We'll offer that welcome on behalf of Quick Trip here. Great sponsors and a great store. If you need anything for the pull this weekend, Quick Trip is a good spot to start, because they've got it pretty much all. So again, on behalf of Quick Trip, we welcome all of our fans here as we get set for this, the second session on paper, but the first, and kicking off our 50th celebration. Clydesdales will be in full force tonight. Also, Gus and Bud will be making an appearance. Those two like to say they're more famous than the Clydesdales, but we'll get you more on that as we get through to our salute tonight to our military operations. With the motorcycle parade, the Clydesdales are here, and our Folds of Honor as well, a very, very important program. But that's all tonight. Here this afternoon, we're going to get set to go polling here in just a couple of minutes. Hopefully that sun will stay right back out there, and we should have ourselves a great, great effort coming up here this evening. Again, it's all part of the National Tractor Pullers Association. NTPA merchandise available both on the grandstand side as well as on the pit side here. You can get everything, a pen, a patch, decal, the whole 9 yards available there at the NTPA merchandise stand. And, of course, they've got this year's 50th anniversary shirt, as well as the 50th anniversary shirt for Tomah here as well, celebrating. Those T-shirts are on behind the grandstands there. And, again, you can get your T-shirts, hoodies, and so much more at the NTPA merchandise stand located on the grandstand side as well as on the pit side as well. You can check out their new Case IH toy pulling tractors as well. Use Unlimited 88 high-octane performance that saves you cash and keeps you pulling strong. Fuel up today. Find a station at SaveWith88.com. Make sure you grab the blue handle. NTPA also welcomes those folks from the United States Army that are here. What do you want most out of a career? Stability, a great salary. What about paid training and mentorship? Well, you can find that all in the U.S. Army. They have it all. Visit GoArmy.com to start your journey. They're also over on the far side with a great display over there. So to learn more about the U.S. Army and what they can do for you and what you can do for your country, go to GoArmy.com. Doc Riley up here, Alan Washburn alongside. Miles Krieger will be out and about. Of course, our cameras are here from FullPull.live and are live streaming, as with all the Grand National events this year. So they're ready to go live streaming. Also, the good folks from AP Production are here shooting for the scoreboard as well as for this upcoming season of NTPA Championship Pulling, which can be found on America's most favorite network. New times this year. Had some confusion, but remember, Wednesday nights, 7:30 Central Time. Tune into RFD TV for the 20th season of NTPA Championship Pulling, presented by Case IH. Case bringing us, again, a very special tribute to pullers in this 20th anniversary of that television series. Championship Pulling can be viewed 6 times a week on DirecTV 345, Dish Network at 231, AT&T 568, cable stations nationwide, or you can go on demand at watchrfdtv.com. Schultz Mortgage, proud sponsor here this afternoon. Home loans made with a human with the Schultz Mortgage team. You don't need perfect credit or a perfect credit score to qualify for a mortgage. Call Jason Schultz, or better yet, see him here. He'll be running around all over the place as Schultz Mortgage bringing you a class here this session. Coming up, of course, that will be our Superstock Diesel class. Proud sponsors of that. Our modified class brought to you by the good folks at Rank Seed, and a very special welcome to all the kids that were here for the Rank Seeds Kids Club. And Northwoods Engineering, our Galaxy Tour sponsor, they're helping out with our light Superstocks here as well. On the grandstand side, we've got our light Pro Stocks brought to you by Link Feeds, and our 2-wheel drives, that's Mohawk Excavating as well. So those are sponsors here for this particular class. It's all a part of the Tomah Chamber and Visitor Center, bringing you this action here as we get set for session number 2. In the program, session number 1 officially overall. Wyatt has his bright-colored vest on, and he's ready to go to work, so that'll be taken care of. We do have, I do believe, beer right now. It's great here at Tomah for all the years that fans know who their beer sellers are, and they've got that all taken care of. So introduce yourself again, get you some ice-cold refreshments there for the adult variety. We've got them right here, both on the grandstand side and over here on the pit side. They'll get you taken care of so you can enjoy this, the Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals. While you're here in town, of course, there's lots of great things that go on in this neck of the woods. It's the great, gateway to Cranberry Country, and of course, during the winter months, a lot of snowmobile activity, great hiking and biking trails as well. You'll notice on the infield side, the Bush Light side, right now, bringing out our test puller. The Dirt Slinger 1X is coming up. That's Matt Johnson out of Archie, Missouri, in the 1X Dirt Slinger. He will be our test puller. Also, a very special welcome to Tracy Waters, Motorsport Photography, and Team Nitrozilla. They're out of Georgia, but they travel around here, been a fixture here at Tomah. You'll see an awful lot of their handiwork on some of the promotional items and marketing items, as well as the pullers love to get their shots. Tracy and the group out of Georgia coming here. Again, Tracy Waters, Motorsport Photography, and Team Nitrozilla. Domino's Pizzas of Tomah is the store proud to sponsor of this year's 2025 pull. Store locations on the north side of Tomah, a great sponsor of the Friday Morning Kids Club as well, right here in Tomah. Thanks to Domino's Pizza. Keep them in mind for that late night snack. Glad to see the grandstands filling up. Pit side over here. I think our fans are pretty much ready to go, and we're just getting the last couple of items tech-wise to go. Make sure that everything's right and tight as we get set to launch both of the Bauer build sleds here. Well, the Ducky lady is here. Yep, she is here. Got her bright colored Ducky shirt on, Ducky hat. She's ready to go. Ducky lady's son for the rest of the day. Son, that's what we're thinking about. That's your responsibility. One of the great things about Tomah is the fact that most of you fans that are here are pretty knowledgeable about the sport and truck and tractor pulling, and we welcome you back again. For those new fans that have never been here before, you'll catch on quickly. Unlike any other motorsports, there's no heat races, there's no practice, there's no chance to get it out. It's just like the rodeo. You get on, you got one run, and then you're going to be done. So everyone trying to put their best foot forward for a number of our classes. This will be the first time out. That always means a lot of people have done some changes off over the years, and we'll see how they pay off here. Kicking off a points tour for a number of different classes. So again, we're set just moments away from beginning this, the 50th edition of the Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals. When this event started back in the mid-'70s, it was kind of a labor of love to start with, and a lot of people here in Tomah started to meet each other if they didn't know each other before. We'd like to give a very special welcome out to a person that's been here from that original group for 50 years, celebrating 84 years, and she's finally stepped off the board, but she's still around, and that's Carolyn Habelman of the Habelman Brothers Cranberry operation. So good to see her here, and she said back in the day, she said a guy from the fair board had called and said, you need to talk to Dave Schreier. And she said, well, I don't know who that is. And she ended up taking care of all the vendors and the style shows and the other things that they had on the other side of the fence, as they say. And Dave Schreier and his brother Dick and Don Courtbine and Chet Shanehofer and a lot of others, Tom Torval, a lot of others over the years have all kind of got together to make this event continue to move forward. There was a lot of play back and forth between the parks and the fair board and the school board and things, and now we've got this incredible facility here that's seen so many great performances over the years, so many great battles and some points changes right off the bat. It kind of gets everything ready to go for the year. One of those companies that's been around for a long time is Evans Print and Media, and they've been around since 1998. They're owned and operated by Greg and Sue Evans. Evans Print and Media Group provides excellence in their design and production of print media. Everything from weddings, parties, other occasions. They've got eye-catching and professional signage available, similar to their vision. They've also got business cards, letterheads, brochures, anything that gets your business the attention it deserves. A big thank you to the good folks at Evans Print and Media for their support of this. Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals. Maury's Auto Group is committed to making sure that they serve you and all of your needs automotive-wise. They're available in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Onalaska, West Salem, Sparta, and of course Tomah. And they believe in celebrating change. When life happens, the new adventure begins. And again, they have got great customer service as well. Let's move forward together. That's Maury's Auto Group. Look, over the years, not only just the people that built the track and things, but this tower has had a number of great announcers over the years. Alan and I and Miles have been your hosts for the last number of years, but Kenny Mack, Lloyd Douglas for a long time here. Of course, we're coming to you from the Kenny Mack Tower. Kenny was based in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and traveled all over, and Kenny was one of those automatic encyclopedias. He saw a pull. He could remember that distance. He could probably remember the barometric pressure and the humidity that was going on as well. But he was a long-standing icon here, also in the NTPA Hall of Fame. So coming to you from the Kenny Mack Tower, of course, you can look around the grounds here, and you'll notice the office, which comes into play. It's at the starting line end at the grandstand side. That office over there named for Don Courtbine, who was the longtime banker and the financial planner for this event. Courtbine Tower gives you all kinds of information about the pull. Also, that's where you'll get your 50-50 winnings is right there in the Courtbine Tower. Again, Don Courtbine Tower, the Dave Schreier, a longtime promoter and, of course, executive director of the National Tractor Pullers Association for a number of years. He has the entrance named after him into the grandstands there. Right next to that entrance is a spot where you'll be able to find your Tomah Tractor Pull 50th Anniversary T-shirt while they last. That's also underneath the grandstand there. That's where our 4-H food stand is. They'll be serving breakfast tomorrow from 6:30 to 10 a.m. If you've never done that, make that a part of your Tomah tradition as well. As you make your way around, the beer garden is here. The Enderly and the Dave Schreier VIP Tower over at the finish end. And right over there is a little spot most people didn't know, but he was a fixture here for a lot of years. Worked for the National Tractor Pullers Association on tour during the Grand National Copenhagen Skull Pulling Days. Was Tom Torval. That was the Torval Gate, and he made sure that the top three would stay for both tracks. He kind of herd those up. When someone got bumped out of the top three, it was his job to tell him, you need to move back to your pit area because we need a spot right now for the guy that just passed you. So that was always good. He was at the top end over there, and of course, the pit area and the Kenny Mack Tower. So a quick trip around your fairgrounds here. Reminder, the Monroe County Fair coming up in July, the 23rd to the 27th. Big thing this year, in addition to Oscar the Robot, is Thunderstruck, an AC/DC tribute band. So that'll be going on the 27th. But the Monroe County Fair right around the corner. The people that put this event on, the organization, of course, Monroe County Fair. They get done with this and then turn right around and got the fair next month. So a lot of action here in the gateway to Cranberry Country. We're happy that you guys have been a part of it. I know it's a family tradition for many of you. Many of you get together with your friends that you've met over the years here. The old howdy neighbor, you're sitting next to somebody, introduce yourself, you might make a friend. And you might be able to have some pizza later tonight as well as a cold one as well. But again, welcome everyone here, young and old, to Tomah's Recreation Park, the center of truck and tractor pulling for this weekend as well.
Doc, you talked about all the improvements that have been made here at Recreation Park over the years. You remember the year they decided they needed to raise the level of the track about 4 feet.
Yeah.
And did so and brought in some wonderful, wonderful clay, and that's what we're working with here today. But it was one of those things that it gets real slick and slimy if you're not careful.
Well, and it's the little things. As we were sitting here yesterday watching it, kind of rain, you could see all the water coming out of the gate. Down there at the pit side,
right,
starting line, but all that water went right through there and then got right onto the concrete and went down to where it was going to be dumped off. But it was interesting, the technical advancements that kind of went with the dirt, elevating it here, putting on some stuff, kind of refreshing things. After a while, you kind of have to introduce some new dirt in, some new clay in. Remember the years, the 3 tracks that were here at that time.
That's right, there were 3. I've forgotten that time period in there, and that was an interesting scenario to work with.
Yeah, it was, and I wasn't here at that time. That was before 1990, I believe, we did that, and of course we cover the track now, which we did back in the 90s. Then you could, Dick Schreier and the guys that, the tradition continues. They know how to seal that track nice and tight, and but again, the covers do help quite a bit. So the track covered here. An event for this afternoon, probably cover it again tonight just to be safe. But we're looking forward to finally going to fire some engines and get on a march to champions crowned at the Enderley later this year. And of course, everyone's got their favorite here. Some people say they don't have a favorite, but, you'll see them cheer a little bit louder. For those of you that have never been to a pull before, you can make some noise. You see something you like? Let those drivers know, because, like I said, they've got their one shot to be able to record that leading distance and to be able to make, hopefully, that winning pass here. Boy, think about it. 50th anniversary, you kind of want to put that on the bucket list to win here if you're a competitor. Of course, kicked off things in Hutchinson, Minnesota there as the first Grand National of the year, then on to Farley, Iowa for the Invitational there. And, boy, some big things there, some big performance, some unveiling of some new tractors and some new trucks as well. But that was an interesting non-points event, but high dollar to win. So we are set and almost ready to launch things here.
Trackside Technical giving us an update on what is happening. We saw a large group gathered at the starting line, and I'm pretty sure there was some conversation going on down there. They have made some decisions. The decision is the light pros, light pros on the track, on the grandstand, are not going to run. The two-wheel drive class will move to the grandstand, to the infield as class number 4 this afternoon. So we're not going to run on anything on the grandstand side this session. So it's going to get kind of confusing. We'll keep you as much updated as we possibly can. As we kind of make some of those transitions, we've got a couple of things we need to do before we get started today. And one of those is the 50th year anniversary. Somebody, the poet laureate of Tomah, put together a poem that pretty well sums up what's going on the tracks today. So, if you would, bear with me as I try and get through the words that were written just ahead of our national anthem. 50 years of rumble and roar, where legends pulled and engines soared. From hometown fields to packed grandstands, they came to cheer with heart in hand. Where diesel smoke meets Midwestern skies and iron giants claim their prize, each summer night the dirt would fly beneath the glow of a Tomah sky. The gears have changed, the names have grown. The roots have run deep in this pull zone, from farm to fame, from grit to gold. It's stories past and stories told. The red, the green, the blacked out chrome, these tracks became a second home. For every fan, every wrench, every crew, this golden year's a toast to you. So raise your hats, feel the ground. It's more than pulling, it's hallowed ground. So here's to the smoke, the sweat, the will. Budweiser Dairyland, 50 and still. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks to our poet laureate that put that together. As we get set and ready to go, I'd like to ask you all to please rise. Gentlemen, please remove your hats and let's honor this great country of ours that has allowed us to gather in the spirit of competition. This afternoon, our national anthem presented by Amy Klepsey, our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you so very much, and hello everyone, and welcome. On behalf of the National Tractor Pullers Association, we welcome you to this 2025 event. Over one of 100 across the Grand National, Regional National, and member state circuits. This national event is brought to you in part by Stop Fire, the world's best fire extinguisher.
Well, welcome, Pulling fans, to Tomah, Wisconsin, and the 50th annual Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals. I'm Dan Mayer, joined by Charles Post this afternoon. We got Jason Schultz down trackside. And, Charles, we've already had, we lost the session last night, and we've already had a situation here this afternoon. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we've definitely had to call an audible. We had a situation, particularly with the grandstand side track. It was really, really soft, so they have elected to not run the two-wheel drives and move the light pros over to the infield side and run 4 classes over there this afternoon. So we're going to get to go pulling and have a lot of good action out there. Just the two-wheel drive guys, I'm sure, heartbroken.
Yeah, a little bit. And, of course, we're live streaming to the world here with FullPull.live. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. We'll have, 4 sessions. Hopefully Mother Nature will give us a break, and we'll be able to get all the action in. And we talked about, we've got Jason Schultz down trackside, and we see he's kind of working his way through the crowd down there, and he will give us some driver interviews down there as well as some reactions from the pullers. As we take a look here at the screen, we've got the modified tractors going to be up first here, as we are, just like you said, going to run on that infield track here this afternoon.
These guys are anticipating a good power track out of it. They were very busy. All the modified teams were back in the pit area with warm-ups this morning and going through everything and making adjustments for what they felt the Tomah Dirt was going to offer them here for this 50th edition of the Budweiser Superland Nationals.
All right, well, looks like Jason Schultz has got one of our super fans down there trackside, and let's hear from Jason for the first time this afternoon. All right, well, a little technical difficulty with Jason. He's waiting down there, and we'll go right back to him in just a second here as we take a look here at our number one hook here in the modified class. Going to be Matt Johnson, our test puller here in mods here this afternoon. So 7,500-pound modified class. We'll see 4 blown and injected Hemis on these tractors. And what's interesting about the sport of pulling, that is a maximum weight, 7,500 pounds. All the classes in pulling determined by weight. So, Matt Johnson here, his second year of full-time running here on the Grand National Circuit. Last year was one of those seasons that, he would like to forget.
Yeah, he went and did a lot of work on this machine. They basically re-chassised the whole thing to kind of start over. It was a handful for him in 2024, so I'm looking for good things here in 2025 with the 4 counter-rotating Hemis out on the front there.
Yeah, so Matt Johnson out of Archie, Missouri. That's just south of the Kansas City area. Now, Matt came to the sport of pulling via circle track racing and actually does some circle track racing from time to time. Hence the number you see on the side of that tractor, the 1X, and that is his racing number. He's got a dirt late model. He's got a dirt modified that he runs from time to time when he's not pulling. But he came, into the sport of pulling in the mini rod class and was very successful with that, and then hooked up with the Leisure family and has run as a 2-vehicle team. So here we go, Charles. Let's get this 50th underway.
It is time, and we're going to go right to one of the oldest classes in the sport, Super Stocks and Modifieds, and really how this thing began back when it was just stock and modified.
Right, and we talk about the 50th here in Tomah, Wisconsin, 1976, the first year, and they did offer the 7,200-pound modified class. So we are have seen this class each and every year here at the Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals. So that's kind of exciting. Like we said, we're down to one track this afternoon, but we're going to see some pulling, and that's what it's all about. So test puller back it in here. Matt Johnson out of Archie, Missouri, our number one hook. I believe we've got a dozen of the modifieds here this afternoon. They're going to put on a show.
You can see there, even in the dirt, how soft it is where that sled has backed up through. This track is going to change probably quite a bit over the course of the first 2, 3, 4 guys in particular.
So we saw this tractor compete up in Hutchinson, Minnesota for the first time, and Matt comes into this show here in the number 8 spot in points, made a couple of nice runs with this tractor. So here we go, first hook. Well, right there we saw the track conditions going to be very tricky here this afternoon. The track crew has been working on this since, sunup, and we see the crew over there behind working with the grader tractors, and that's something you see here in Tomah that you don't really see any other pull.
That is true, yeah. The graders do come out quite often here at Tomah. In most places, that is not a featured piece of equipment. Of course, in the background, they're going to start working that grandstand side to see if they can get it ready for tonight. But thumbs down around, that's not a surprise. He got right with the program very quickly and early on that pass. I think just knowing, hey, this is test hook, I can throw this away if I need to. Let's see what's there, if anything.
Yeah, so we saw Shannon Leishner down there. He's more or less the crew chief of this operation here for his dad, as well as for Matt Johnson here. So we will see where they will put themselves here in the field. Now, they can drop six positions, or they can drop the last. So we will see what the decision here from trackside is here for Matt Johnson with the 1X Dirt Slinger tractor. So as we take a look here at our lineup, we'll have Brett Berg up next, Tommy Owens will follow, and then Steve Bunnage will be our next 3 tractors coming up. And they say, yes, for sure, that is a thumbs down like we saw in the seat there. So it has been confirmed down trackside. So we'll take Matt Johnson back to the pits there as we see some of the Dirt Slinger team. We'll take that tractor back around. So this will be interesting. Looking at this track, we're looking to see everything get better and better at each and every tractor that we run down the track. Of course, they run those big 30.5 rear tires. And we'll take a look here at the replay in just a second here of the run here for Matt as we see coming down the track. And right there just starts to apply that horsepower, those big 30.5 tires, and really just never hooked up to that track.
No, it quickly began to one wheel, unloaded the right side tire, which drove him in that direction, and he felt it quick enough to react. Didn't get to the chalk line. I don't think he had any intention of getting quite that far. Shannon took his time walking down behind the sled after that, looking at the dirt. Didn't see anybody else from another team come sprinting out there to have a look themselves. I think they're back there already with their minds made up and moving weights around and making adjustments if they think they need to.
Yeah, there we see the stoic look there of Dean Hollicky there as he stands in front of Brett Berg's tractor down there, Farmington, Minnesota. Yeah, take a look at that look right there. Yeah, he's pretty intense down there helping Brett out. Brett will be the next hook here.
He's thinking about it for Brett, but also for himself later today.
Yeah, that's true. They'll run later on tonight with his Limited Pro tractor.
They were busy with the kids club this morning. Had the mini rod back in there in the tent, introducing our young fans to the sport, and the modified was unwheeled out of the hauler behind the tent as well, so everybody could get an up close and personal look at the Rank Seed moneymaker.
Yeah, Rank Seed had a deal set up back there, and one of the great sponsors in the sport of pulling, and so we take a look there at Brett Berg, and it's got the mini rod on hand as well this weekend. So we'll see here once the sled makes it back here to the start line area. What the next vehicle here will be underway shortly.
Brett's one of those who studies the track. You see a lot of the truck guys will go walk the track, and they're always probing the dirt when they walk out there. Tractor guys, you don't really see them do that, and Brett doesn't use a probe, but he will walk out there and study a track for a good long while, as long or longer than anybody on a big tire that I see.
Yeah, we talk about, 50 years with the Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals. Well, Brett Berg's a guy that 50 years of pulling. Started off with his dad, Bill, in super stock class and kind of worked his way up. Dad kind of retired from the sport, and Brett carried on and kind of got away from it a little bit and then came back with the modifieds and in a big way. He came back with the modifieds, ran unlimiteds there for a while. So a guy that has been down the tracks pretty much all over the country. You name it, he has been out there. And good to see him still out running in competition. Brett Berg, one of the toughest.
I had the thought this morning driving over here that since the first year, I'm sure there are guys here in competition that were at least here for it or maybe competed in the first one, but I don't think anybody that's going to take the start has started every single one of the 50 years. But his name was certainly one that was forefront in my mind, that it was a possibility that he could have.
Yeah, him and Esden would be probably the only two that I could think of that would have been at each and every event here in Tomah, but as we see, still working that track a little bit, and hopefully things get better here as we move along here in the show. So yeah, going to fire up now. A little bit different combination with this tractor with Brett that we saw with Matt Johnson's tractor. As we talked about, you're limited to those 4 engines, but smaller superchargers on them if you run the 4 engines.
Yep, the 871 casing, all SSIs for Brett Berg in his case anyhow. Sitting atop those Hemis. Brett does not do the counter-rotating engine setup with multiple clutch cans like the 1X is set up to do.
Yeah, so you'll see the 2 clutches there behind those back 2 engines, centrifugal clutches. RPM go up, they lock in, and away we go. So the big 30.5 rear tires on these modified tractors.
Brett's crossbox is still set up where he could drop a 5th engine in there for the Unlimited. It's been a while since I've seen him do that,
Yes,
though.
It's been a good 5 years or so that I was kind of looking back to see when the last time Brett himself and Doug Christensen was another guy that would add from time to time that 5th engine on there, but they said with the new tires, he's just not able to make that weight. They were so close on weight, and we talk about those Mitas tires that have really changed the sport of pulling.
They certainly did, and they are a heavier case. It takes extra cording in the carcass and more rubber to create that square shoulder, whereas some of the older designs are still more rounded. Even though the Firestones came out in 2001, we thought they looked positively alien, but we've gotten used to it, haven't we?
So here we go. Going to set the mark to beat here. Our first tractor up, modified class. Well, Charles is going to take a KG veteran to get down that track, and he got it done this afternoon. Brett Berg, a great run with the Moneymaker, and we will see whether or not if the officials were happy with that. I'd have to say so. I mean, it looked like a very good run there for Brett. Is our track length here this afternoon, 350 feet. And approximately 40 feet wide, or as wide as your normal 2-lane highway. You'll see the white lines each side of the track. You touch the white line, you will be disqualified. So got to keep those things in mind. So the officials will talk it over with Brett, but it looked like a really good run here from our viewpoint.
Yeah, good, safe, smooth run for him. Two different contrasting driving styles. You'll see in the replay what that's all about. Whereas, Matt Johnson hammered it right out of the hole just to see what was there. Brett Berg was exercising patience the entire time. The throttle butterflies and the injector hats were never flat. He was never all the way open.
So a good run there for Brett Berg as he gets things underway here. We'll see up on the replay. And just kind of working his way. Just working his way down the track there. And a good run for the all-time winner in the 7,500-pound modified class now. Has over 45 wins for Brett over the years, and that's just a remarkable record for him that, a guy that ran super stocks for so many years and then comes back and runs the modified class and just right to the top of that class as well.
I remember when that first mod of his came out, the white fenders, and I was at a Grand National, I want to say in Lake Odessa, Michigan, and they announced Brett Berg coming on the track. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This doesn't compute here, but now, after all this time, to think of him as the winningest guy in the mods, he's really planted a flag there, and I still, in my own head, think of him as a super stock puller, but that's
long. Yeah,
long
yes.
time
We're
gone
dating
now.
ourselves, Charles. When we talk about that, the old
I
never enough tractors. It's like, I remember watching them, but yeah, that's been a long time ago. So, yeah, that old inline 3 engines in a row there when he started. And I saw that tractor actually down in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They had Grand National down there, and that's where I saw him debut that tractor. So we take a look at our next tractor up, and we're going to have a 3-engine coming up here next. So we talked about the 4-engine combination. Now here's the 3-engine combination. As we got Tommy Owens out of Montgomery, New York, part of a 2-tractor team we're going to see this afternoon. As Tom, the dad, we see son Dylan up on the tractor. He'll have his tractor out a little bit later on.
He should be one of 4 that is going to be running the triple here in this afternoon session. So they're allowed the larger 1471 supercharger, like we see on a mini rod or on the 2-wheel drive trucks. They're allowed that larger case displacement to force feed the engine all the air and fuel they can get it to swallow. Making a long trip out here from New York.
Yeah, Montgomery, New York, and that's we've talked about that a little bit. That's about an hour outside of New York City. They're down there way on the eastern side of New York. Got quite a very successful hay business out there. And, of course, we talk about Montgomery, New York. That's in Orange County, New York, where the old Orange County Choppers used to be.
Ah, okay.
So they were about, I think, about 15 minutes or so from the old shop there, from the Orange County Choppers. And talk about putting on the miles. Owens put them on throughout the summer. And, of course, last year at the November, we saw him go out to California, ran out in Madera, California, the big pull out there, and had some success, real good success out there as well. So we'll see what the Owens family. Now, Dylan had a second-place finish up in Hutchinson, Minnesota a couple weeks ago. Dad comes in here number 4 in Grand National points, and that is after 2 hooks. We had 2 hooks there in Hutchinson, Minnesota to get the season underway.
They're a family that definitely works hard and plays hard. A little bit of prime down the throat before hitting the starter here to crank these up. You notice the front weights are all on the left-hand side. That's a common thing. Put them on what I call the high side of the chassis, where the rotation of the engine is trying to pull that left front tire up. They'll bias the weight over to that side to counteract that as best they can. With 3 engines, you can never equalize them all across the frame. Reaching with a big lever, force close the clutches, and start the other 2 engines with the one that gets fired off the RCD starter that is now replaced in the Gator and pulled away.
All right, so we got all 3 of them fired up. Tommy will make his way here to the start line as hook number 2 in our 7,500-pound modified class this afternoon. Now, sled placement's going to be interesting. Now, each and every competitor has that option where you put the sled between the white lines. Now, early on with this fresh track, usually everybody kind of starts off in that middle part, and then it'll work from there. So as we see, the first couple tractors have gone down all in about that center part of the track.
For sure, Dan. I expect to see kind of a build-a-road situation, particularly early on here in this modified class. I don't expect to see any changes, at least on the starting line anyway. Down track, if somebody's getting pushed a certain way, they might have to let it ride and stay off the brakes. But for starting, I don't think anybody's going to move.
So the Ramblin' Rose of Tom Owens out of Montgomery, New York, a second-generation puller. His dad, Ted, a champion in the old Region 1 circuit back in the NTPA early days.
Looking forward to, they've made some moves. Region 1 has life again.
Yes, they kind of they're trying to get it going back again. It used to be very, very strong up there in New York and Ontario, Pennsylvania. Here we go. And an excellent run with a 3-engine tractor there, Tommy Owens. And it's going to be awful close to taking over that number 1 spot here from Brett Berg.
He's been able to lay down over the years some monster passes with only 3 engines. So don't think for a second, because there's only 3 instead of 4, that it doesn't make comparative power. It does. I think some of that builder road is coming in there, but also the mix of how it makes that power out of those 3 engines might be beneficial today on today's track.
Did you see the dirt that has piled up on the buckboard of the sled there? That was one thing we noticed when he pulled away. And we will see here up on the replay board. But, yeah, great run there for Tommy Owens, their second hook officially here in the modified class this afternoon. As once again, we're here from Tomah, Wisconsin, the Budweiser Dairyland Super Nationals, the 50th annual. And there we go. The distance comes in at 330.55. 330.55 the distance. Now, we will measure up to a 1,000th if we need to. If we get into a tie situation, the laser officials will go another decimal point if they do have to. But so 330.55 will be our new number 1 here this afternoon. As we see up on the replay, the balance of that tractor just perfect. You see it dangling that front end about 12 to 15 inches off the ground, and that's what you want.
It's just kissing that right front on the ground. Perfect. Couldn't have done any better or different for the conditions we've got. Then it does spin in. It dug itself a couple holes there. That's going to become a thing with the builder road situation. Guys are going to want to continue to go down that part of the track because that's where it's getting packed. But at the very end, where those spin out holes are, it's going to take time for those to clean up and stop reflecting. Even though they're working very hard to put that dirt back in those holes, they will still shadow themselves for probably a good 4 or 5 runs, possibly longer today, given the softness.
Oh, for sure. And like you say, you got to go through them holes there, and we'll see who will be able to master this tricky track here this afternoon. Once again, Dan Mayer joined by Charles Posch this afternoon here in Tomah, Wisconsin, as we're underway here with our modified class. Little switching plans. We're down to 1 track.
Yeah.
Usually a double track here in Tomah, but Mother Nature didn't deal out a very good hand this morning and late yesterday, and actually all week. It's been
cold and raining here in western Wisconsin. So if you're just joining us at home and you're wondering where the action is on the grandstand track, they decided not to run 2-wheel drives. That side's very soft, and they moved the light pros to the very end on the infield side.
But we see you've got a hearty crowd coming out here. Beautiful, starting to get a little bit better out there as the sun peeks out every now and then. And the crowd filling in here on a, Friday afternoon. Where would you rather be?
The perfect place to be. We've got action on the track. It's a pleasant time to be in the box seats out in front because you're not going to cook in the sun today.
Yeah, great facility here, the Monroe County Fairgrounds. 50 years of pulling here, and they started off many years ago actually with this track used to actually have a football field right where they're pulling right now. They've kind of moved off to one side, pulled down the sideline there the first year they pulled here, and just kind of, they've got this Tomah Talk 50-year program that they came out with. Pretty cool deal if you go online to the Tomah Tractor Pull, and I'm sure you can order them on there, and they've got their 50th T-shirts and all that good stuff. But, some great stories in there from the 50 years of Tomah, Wisconsin. Kind of talks about the early years of how this event developed. And, of course, there is the man himself, Mr. David P. Schreier, the guy that says, hey, I'm going to have a big national pull here in Tomah, Wisconsin. Yep. Everybody kind of looked at him and said, are you sure about this? And, he proved it.
There's plenty of promoters over time that have had that same look given to them. And if you can maintain the staying power of it, you can build something like this. There are not many at this level. This is pretty rarefied air to have that 50 under your belt.
Yeah, we got a couple 50ths this year. We got, Tomah this year and Chapel Hill also celebrating their 50th as we take a look. Another engine setup combination here as we've got Steve Bunnage out of Southern Illinois with the Takes a Lickin' tractor here as he'll have the transverse mounted engines. We see that cross box sitting there, and of course Tim Engler designed that how many years ago? Yeah, we're about 40 years ago already, and still using that same basic design there.
He figured that out at the time. It was something he could do. He had the machining capability to create the gearbox to do it, because at that time no one was building supercharger cases or reverse rotation camshafts for Hemis or Chevys. You can get those today. In the mid-1980s, that wasn't a thing. It was a long way off. So mounting the engines transverse on the chassis, it does help counteract the torque. We're getting to a point now with the sassy engines that they're using on this particular tractor. It'll still twist it up pretty good, but not as bad as it was if they were in line.
Yeah, Steve debuted this tractor here, a brand new chassis, brand new engines a couple years back. Actually had an injury on the track, broke his arm, and has come back from that. And really has had early here in 2025, he won a preseason event down in Nashville, Illinois to start off the season, kind of springboarded him here into the season. Now up in Hutch, he had a couple nice runs up there as well. So he comes in here number 7 in the points. Now the modified class, they've got, I believe there's 8 hooks for them throughout the summer.
It sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and with only that few number, it's never too early to be thinking in terms of points. If you set a goal for yourself that the championship is important, it matters even right now.
So we take a look at Steve up there in the seat as he'll put on those 5-point safety harness straps, tighten them down, nestled into that roll cage as well. Another one of our second generation pullers.
Oh my.
Well, worked the right side of the track here, and it sounded like those engines kind of laid over on him, but he was still moving down the track quite well here, so
it did.
Very impressive.
Yeah, the RPMs were never quite all the way up there, and I'm looking at the exhaust headers as coming down the track thinking, okay, maybe they got the fuel system set up really, really rich, but there was nothing there, and then it keeps going.
Yeah, excellent run here. The Takes a Lickin' ride. Steve Bunnage, Golden Gate, Illinois. And that's going to be awful close here to taking over that number 1 spot from Tommy Owens, our current leader.
I guess from this view, yeah, there it is. From this view, yeah, it does look like the fuel system is really fat. The other side, you didn't have the contrast behind it to be able to see it, but now you can. He was putting a lot of fuel to it, trying to keep everything cool and deliberately off of full power.
Yeah, this is really good here for Steve and his team, getting back into the swing of things after that injury and getting this combination to work, because really when he debuted this tractor, he got hurt right away and really didn't have the time to dial things in. So this is really good here for Steve and team as we see that Angler chassis as well, the chromoly tube frame.
Yeah, at the time I know he was very disappointed that he went through what he did because he knew it was going to sideline him for essentially the remainder of the season with a brand new machine. And glad to see them back out having the success. Good family, always friendly in the pit area to talk with, and I know they're born into it, so of course they love it. But it's nice to see the twinkle back in his eye.
Oh, absolutely. And Dad Niles, a guy that we talked about that yesterday, with Wayne Purser putting together that 8-engine tractor. But his dad actually, campaigned an 8-engine tractor. They were all naturally aspirated 440 Dodges years ago, but was a very tough runner on the ITPA circuit, and would dabble on the national circuit as well from time to time. But yeah, Niall Bunnage, one of those, guys, the forefathers of the sport here that really tried some different things. So we take a look at some of the fans out here at Tomah, Wisconsin. As Dan Mayer joined by Charles Post this afternoon. We should have, I believe, Jason Schultz down trackside here this afternoon as well. And get some reactions from our fans as we take a look at some of our fans out there enjoying the afternoon. And like you say, it's Friday afternoon. A lot of people took off work today and make it a long weekend, come out to Tomah. And the fans, they always come out in groves.
We're starting the 50-50 off, so try to push those jackpots up on the 50th here.
Yeah, some big jackpots always here in Tomah, and just one of the great events for this community. And we talk about that, all the different communities that benefit from these events. And you just take a look across the street at the the local high school where the football field was moved out from the tractor pull track, so they made a permanent facility over there, and just all the different things over the years that this event has helped support, and that's great to see in this community.
That's something that came up also last night at dinner. We were discussing with Rudy Lindhorst, who's from the European side of the pond, and asked him about what are the differences you see between North American pulling and European pulling, and he identified that as one thing, how much these events give back to their local communities.
Yeah, so here's going to be an interesting story here, Charles. We've got Brent Payne just north of the Cincinnati area here with their new tractor, the Limitless. Now, we saw it last year run in the light modified class and had a lot of success with it. Now, Brent and son Johnny will share the driving this afternoon. Dad's going to get the seat here as he'll bring it out on the track, but the first time running here with 3 engines in the modified class.
They had hinted back over the winter that they weren't really going to do this maybe almost until Bowling Green was the first initial thought about putting the 3rd engine on, and then once the schedule came out and there was enough where light and heavy mod were going to be close together and there was going to be time to do it, the decision got made. This is a bit of a different chassis. There's a lot in it that helps keep it very, very light, particularly for that light mod class, so that they can put as much weight as they can get out on the nose.
Now, they missed the first event of the season up in Hutchinson, Minnesota. Actually, that Saturday, their 3rd engine was delivered to them, so they were not able to make it up there for the first hook of the year. So this will be the maiden voyage here with the 3 engines. Limitless team, and Brent Payne, of course, a guy ran Super Stocks for so many years, Super Stock alcohol tractors. As we take a look here, our free preview on Facebook and YouTube is going to be ending after this run, so those fans watching, head on over to FullPull.live. You want to see the rest of the action here, and you don't want to miss it here, because we've got the rest of this session. We got 3 more sessions with all the classes that'll be running here this weekend, so make sure you head on over to FullPull.live and subscribe, as the action's just going to go up from here.
Brent was teasing Johnny a bit. We asked him, hey, are you going to let Johnny's a pretty good driver. He's shown early talent. Are you going to let him get on it with the 3 engines? He said, oh, no. Dad's going to do the horsepower.
Dad's going to. So we'll see Johnny probably in the 2-engine class. Here we go. Let's see if he can go better than 336.80. Ooh. Charles, he was flirting with that left-hand chalk line, and I think he might have got it here this afternoon. A tough break there for the Limitless team and Brent Payne.
I didn't catch a signal from the flagman right away, but it looks like he has stopped with that left rear Mitas over the chalk.
Yeah, kind of interesting. We've seen, a couple tractors get off to the left side, and Steve Bunnage, our current leader, he was off to the right side here.
Yeah, they're moving around much more than I expected or anticipated. Oh, yeah, the telltale is there on the tire.
Yeah, but you can see the chalk there. A tough break there for Brent Payne with the Limitless tractor, as he will be scored as a disqualification here this afternoon.
Tough track conditions to come out and strap the 3rd engine on first time cold like that and not knowing what it's going to do or how it's going to react.
Yeah, it had to be the nerves.
Sure.
Nerves have to be up there a little bit as we take a look at last year's champion right there, Mr. Bill Leishner. Down in the pack here, as you see, the 309.01, but scored as a disqualification. Yeah, it's right about there. We'll see the flagman.
Yeah,
we'll wave him down, and
if they run it back again in a slow-mo, watch the right rear tire and how much at about mid-track you can watch the right rear bite release as the logo spins around, and that's what started to push it over that left-hand side.
Yep, and there it goes.
Yeah, he was probably on the brake already at this point trying to stop that, and he just couldn't.
So unfortunate there for Brent Payne this afternoon. Now, we did lose the modified class last night. They were scheduled to run in session number 1. So unfortunately, this will be the only hook for the mods here this weekend here in Tomah. So 336.80 with Steve Bunnage, our current leader. We see Tommy Owens in that number 2 spot. And Brett Berg with the rank seed moneymaker rounds out our top 3 currently here early on in our modified class. And we're not even close to being done here with these mods, as they are going to put on a show.